Welcome to Inspiramais 2022 Underline 2. In this last day of programming, we will look into the next theme of Inspiramais with the presentation of a preview 2023 Underline 1, Body. Let's see what the Research and Design Nucleus developed with the coordinator of the nucleus, Walter Rodrigues. Inspiramais has the sponsorship of Cipatex, Altero, BASF, Vertex, Granil, Brisa, Caimilezon, Camaleoa, Colorgraph, Endutex Brasil, FCC, Grupo Crofrag, Tiquifran, JR Soluções, Leather Labs, ATP, Soares, and York. Organized by Brazil, Tex Brazil, Brazilian Leather, and Brazilian Furniture. Partnering with Sebrae and promoted by Asintecal, Abiti, CICB, Abimóvel, and Apex Brasil. Let us now watch a video of our partner Sebrae and the master sponsor for Inspiramais, Cipatex. And then, you've got the floor, Walter. Day or night? Sciences or humanities? The city or the country? Being able to make choices means conquering one of the greatest desires of humanity, independence. And Sebrae believes that being an entrepreneur is a pathway to independence, and it's open for people of all ages, genders, and that seek more options for their lives. For Sebrae, just as important as encouraging businesses to work is supporting people who transform dreams into life projects, which help generate jobs, develop their community, and transmit an entrepreneurial culture throughout Brazil, a place where we all have the freedom to choose, even choose to be an entrepreneur. Sebrae, the strength of the Brazilian entrepreneur. Time. Everything changes. Everything transforms. It even changes the way we see time. The more it goes by, the more valuable it becomes, the more we respect it, and the more we understand it. It's in its hands that we receive the most valuable gift that life gives us, the experience. And that reveals the greatest secret of all. The time isn't the division between past, present, and future, but the sum of these three elements, where the result is eternity of art, of feeling, and the soul. It's in this timeless nature that our fashion is inspired, translating this beauty that lives forever. Come and discover this at Inspiramais 2022. Thank you, Camila. This is a special day at Inspiramais because it's where the research nucleus shows what we call a preview for the next season. We're talking here about the first semester of 2023. Look at how far ahead this is that we're sharing with you. The coolest part of it all is that companies that work ahead of time, thinking about future seasons, can already base themselves on this research which we prepared for you. The most important at this time is to think about the idea of the body. That's what we called the new season for Inspiramais. The idea begins here at the intro for us to understand the importance of this word in this moment that we're living through. Our current reality expresses our fragility and our strength. To continue to project hope and life, we believe that the body is the file of time, the records of the human experience directly related with social, cultural, and economic aspects, and especially behavioral aspects. Today we must think about the body as autonomy, with patterns, and understand it as beyond fashion, because body for us at Inspiramais becomes a focus point, giving meaning to the search for an understanding of its development, its importance, and the materialization of new behaviors, either of consumption, health, and even communication, because after all, the body speaks. We created this preview in April of 2021 based on the meeting of the research nucleus for Inspiramais. We started thinking about the body as science. And what led us to this common denominator of the body was that at this time, now that we're adapted to the pandemic, we're paying more attention to our body, whether it be in terms of healthcare, exercise to stay in shape, or the knowledge of our reactions, our physical reactions, whether I'm healthy, whether I have a cold, whether I have some COVID symptom. The body became one of the factors and main topics in our daily life. Here we see an interesting example of a fashion design lesson where Professor Kazu takes to her classroom a model and they draw on their body the muscles, emphasizing the need for fashion to have a clear perception of ergonomics, of body movement, and our physiology, so we can understand how to create products that are more adaptable and more perfect for the human body. Another interesting point in this combination of factors is when the brand Schiaparelli sought, through its designer Daniel Hosberry, a placement and an expansion of this desire of the body, emphasizing in the construction of this model the idea of muscles, the six-pack that we so much enjoy in people. We can't always achieve it, but we like it in people. And here, this work by Schiaparelli will show in its color what seems to be the muscles of the human body. It's very cool for us to see this co-relationship between the body and fashion. And we've seen that in research, we gather 10 researchers that share our perceptions of the world. And all of us brought something from dance. Dance during the pandemic, was the way to free the body and the perception of expression. It also brings very interesting results regarding our need for hugs, for warmth, for being close to one another. And here, the dance theater shows us in this choreography the combination of simple movements and the combination of bodies. We're going to see this in a vibrant and eloquent manner in the Kanzu runway, where the choreography, the music, like a giant party or a rave, is part of the entire context of the clothing, which has lots of movement, lots of fabric, and actually combines perfectly with the body and the idea of protection. What's most interesting during this intro is to understand the importance of multiple bodies. And then the brand Aze Factory has an incredible idea. The same dress for different bodies. So moving forward, we must be careful with our final products so they can access the different types of bodies. It's not about beauty. Beauty is where you feel good. And so fashion needs to have products for all people. What matters is people. Another important point for the bodies that we address here is the Simon's runway show, the idea of gender, where the same items are used by male and female models in the same intensity without worrying about gender. The idea of feeling good and identifying with the fashion and translating the moment which we are living, which is a moment of freedom. Another important point are the PCDs, or people with some type of special needs that need to be assisted in fashion. They need space in fashion. So we have here a model for Gucci that shows the possibility of us reconsider these bodies within a context of fashion, even such as with Victoria Cuervo, a gaucho stylist who always worked thinking about these noble sizes, as she refers to them. Another different point is how fashion has taken on this possibility of different bodies, where you have a fashion language of elegance, even if you have some type of special needs or disabilities. Another important aspect is the fluidity of gender. Voitamik was a participant of the RuPaul Drag Race, where I was confused, and I tried to be as updated as possible, but it was a young lady who was born as a girl who transformed, became a transgendered man, and since she was very feminine, she started to do drag art. So look at this fluidity and this perception, and what matters the most, especially according to her testimonial in a Netflix program, is finding herself, and what matters is feelings and people. Another important point in this discussion is for us to have on the cover of Vogue Brazil, a relevant and important magazine in the fashion industry, Mímica and Linha Quebrada, two trans women with a very strong message and an important vision. And Tarso Bran, a transgender man, was born a girl but today has a very important career both in TV and in the theater. So these fluid genders and these different perceptions go through the body and transcend fashion. So those of us who are here at the beginning, making the raw materials, we need to assimilate these concepts and bring this to within the products. Another super important topic within Inspiramais is the aspect of sustainability. We understand sustainability is integrated with the bodies based on these very romantic and sensational images of Rita Iconi and Carolina de Roja. These names are hard to say, but it's harsh. And we have this integration of nature with the bodies in these various photos, which are emblematic, and you can see them on Instagram and here at the presentation. Another important point is that this moment of rebound, this moment of perception, we are in a certain way beginning to see the effects of vaccines. We're beginning to retake a new attitude where we're going to need to have a new attitude from here onward. And this, looking at this structure, this corset, for example, Catherine of Medici brought this posture of a queen, and we need to understand the history at this time, because at that point in time in history, the figure of the queen was always secondary. When Catherine of Medici becomes powerful, she establishes the usage of the corsets to create a majestic and powerful image. And this is what we need to incorporate into our day-to-day. And we're seeing, based on the collections, an enormous quantity of the effects of this corset in the runways and the new proposals which are coming in the new collections. Very tight waistlines, breasts very accentuated with a new posture. I also will now begin to show you inspirations for materials and shapes, which we forecast for 2023_1. We start with the corset, emphasizing new designers which are using new materials to create this silhouette which is adjusted, tailored, and powerful. We see that this modeling becomes more fluid, sometimes in cutouts and prints, but also sometimes as item that you wear in the Burberry collection. We see this in other collections, emphasizing the waistline, making posture completely different. Here, we see the idea of waxed and luster, emphasizing this material with this lighting which applies to leathers, laminates, and even fabrics. Fabrics with waxed appearance, delicate, soft, shiny, very soft. We see this in the materials of footwear and accessories, and a lot of use of leather or laminate with this soft shine. Look at this new perception of the enormous perceived value regarding leather and materials with shine. At this time, we can see in these new collections that were launched 2 weeks ago, we have the impact of these material with these waxed materials in the Burberry collection and Louis Vuitton. Another important aspect in these materials are materials with weight but with drape. You'll see this as well in the fabrics, the leathers, and the laminates, and modeling that is more broad and less structured, which drape in an interesting manner or create volume in the collar and shoulder area, emphasizing the idea of softness and at the same time a more armored sense of the material. Here we can see in the Marc Jacobs collection as well as the McCartney collection the idea transferred to fabrics and neoprene or knitting that's well structured. Another important point is how accessories are being assimilated based off of these structures of heavier but soft materials, and the new modeling and shapes of the jackets, a bit large, a bit 80s style, where the shoulder is dislocated with a greater volume of material on the shape. We see this in Balmain, emphasizing shoulders and volume of the sleeves. Something that's very interesting, which happened at the end of the 80s. You can look at the styles of Claude Montonnat, an incredibly important stylist during this period, and we see echoes and references that are very clear in the work of these new designers. Another important point in materials is the idea of a stamp. Here we have the inspiration of Liv Klein, a French painter who used the performance of the 60s as a way of doing art. And what he did in reality was to paint the bodies of the models, and the models would print or stamp their bodies on the screens, creating these stamps of body shapes. And we'll see this in the work of David Ramos, where we see the print as an act of gestures where the movement of the clothes and the bodies are printed or stamped onto the material. The work of this team, Simon and Hoff, became very explicit in the idea of the stamp. I really like the idea of us reusing, for example, a ready-made item as if it was the new idea of upcycling. So I'll make a stamp from it, I'll put dye on this item, I'll print my next material that I'll work with, and I can still sell that item with the idea of upcycling. So it's an artistic effort that generates reuse of the materials. Here, this work is very beautiful of Simon and Hoff, where they print old fabrics on new bases, creating based on these fabrics a new experience of a stamp or print. Another important aspect of these materials, it appears often in the styles that are closer to the body, is this idea of rubbered materials, where we see this furniture created in the digital universe of Andres Hessinger. It's very interesting to see how this appears in the collection of Stella MacArthur, which is from 2022, with more opaque materials with a rubbery appearance. And here once again, we have these sculpture samples which are created using the Antique Space material of bodies that are covered. Actually, it's the artistic work of an artist who plays with mannequins, covering these mannequins with a rubbery material, creating new movements, sometimes furniture, based on these ideas. And underneath these sculptures, there's always a body. And here at Prada, we see this material once again, making a perfect combination with the glossiness of the super interesting furniture. His singer, once again, we've worked with the furniture closer to our daily life, along with the collection of Louis Vuitton with the same appearance of a more delicate surface, rubbery, more opaque, but where color is very delicate and noticeable. We have another important effect of materials, which is the idea of vitreo, where we have extra shine, extra gloss. It's an exaggerated shine on the material, furs, laminates, and even fabrics. This can be very clearly seen in this gelatinous layer in the work of Eric Harper, and also the covers of V Magazine, number 129, the work of Varzia and this material of Zniker, creating this lighting and shine effects. It's very interesting to notice that this shine can come from various effects, pens in the dress by Schiaparelli, or velvets or textures which have this capacity to emit shine through the work of Marco Campardo. Michael Kors exercises his luxury view from these hides with extreme shine and gloss in the 2021 collection. Alessandro Michele will work with this lining for the suits of Gucci Aria, this collection celebrating 100 years of Gucci, emphasizing the shine of the materials. And Marc Jacobs brings to winter 2021 these circles with lots of shine, once again creating new silhouettes that are incredibly interesting and beautiful, as you can see here. Once again, Louis Vuitton Resort 2022 brings hides with intense shine, emphasizing the need for us to think about materials that are extremely shiny. Golden is a clear reference. It's very strong in the Burberry collection for 2021, emphasizing various types of texture and metallized effects, which go from the fabrics all the way through the accessories, the costume jewelry, the high heels, placing gold in a very interesting point of emphasis. This will also appear in other collections and in these prints on leather with sometimes some more subtle or lighter golden colors, but investing in this idea of luxury and shine, of gold. We have this incredible shoe of Sara Popsada where we see what looks like liquid gold, completely deconstructed, but a very innovative idea and super inspiring. And the work of Old Mater, which has these aspects of texture within what is golden. Another important reference point the next semester, which is 2023 underline 1, is the idea of fur. We will look at inspiration that will help us understand the Fansheng 1 collection for winter 2021. These furs that are thicker and more apparent. Also, lamb's wool appears in Burberry's, in accessories, in coats, emphasizing comfort and luxury, and also appear in the jacquards of Marc Jacobs, emphasizing the textile aspect, but always having the fur as the highlight. Another important point, another Burberry image, investing in coats with fur, giving it a strong image and the idea of warmth and protection. Another very interesting point in our research was understanding the idea of destroyer, both in denim, emphasizing this within the denim market, and especially with the idea of upcycling or the reuse of items which were already built. The work of David Corvelin makes it clear in furniture when he invests in this idea of the destroyer and materials with this destroyer effect to line his chairs. But METNB, which is a brand from Naples in Italy, works very strongly with the idea of the reuse of denim and brings incredible ideas, such as this bag, reworked using a destroyer effect on embroidery and applications. Miyahara Suhiro brings the destroyer topic in almost her entire collection for the spring 2022. And we have the very interesting aspects of denim being worked on with various colors and various tones, but also this raw basis, which they place both in knitting and jackets. So this destroyed appearance enters and matches perfectly with jersey and knitting. Diesel is also betting on this silhouette, and especially on the deconstruction of items, making a very interesting closing along with Miyahara. Here is the work of Johan, where she shows samples for us to understand the possibility of material recycling with sustainable effects that are existing through finishings and textures and possibilities to rearrange materials in the construction of a new look based off of this idea of the destroyer. Also emphasizing, since we're talking about the body, the aspect of anatomy, which had to appear and is truly present in various functions, such as with this Vibram shoe, which is a high or low ankle boot, where you have even the toenails painted on the uppers, or the work of Schiaparelli using this molded leather dress based off of molds of the human body, creating accessories and dresses for the collection. It's very interesting when we start to study this in April, and then 2 weeks later, we perceive how the brands are talking about this idea of the body. What can you see here with me in these two Burberry items? I see ribs. What do you see? For me, once again, this is like the deconstruction of the human body in the modeling, emphasizing the vertebrae of the ribs. We also see this in the Brazilian brand, Bam Atelier. Look at the cutouts. Look at the way this is constructed. So the body takes on a key role in our perception, in the modeling, in the materials. This atelier works with knit, and it has to be a bit more structured for them to be able to build the beauty of these items. Look how interesting Yamamoto today for the Spring 22 establishes another connection with the body, perhaps influenced by the high couture of Schiaparelli, where Danielle worked with the idea of eyes. The suits of Yoji come with applications of hands and eyes in a somewhat surreal aspect. It's within the universe of Yamamoto. We see the use of these elements of the face, of eyes in furniture, and also in dishes and other home accessories. Another important point is Alexandre Armata working with denim with pockets for you to put your hand in. Literally put your hand in. It's very fascinating how aspects of the anatomy are being worked on and revisited using innovative shapes. Look at the work of Johnson Sunk, which bring in their ceramics this way of holding the parts. These are cups or bowls where they create effects based off of the hand. I'm very impacted by this shoe by Cassila também, because to me it looks like a dissected foot. You know that we look at images of Leonardo da Vinci or other painters during the Renaissance, discovering bodies and studying bodies. The tones, the colors, the idea of the bones, the veins are present in this Cassini project. And even in Isa's work, we perceive this somewhat surreal idea, but it's a lot of fun, in this sandal, which is all set for you to insert your 5 toes into the sandal and be completely comfortable. Another important point, once again, Schiaparelli and Daniele, who did this brilliant collection using the mold of the foot and the sole, long and short boots, which he presented in his collection. Look at this, how interesting. Talking about costume jewelry, we have the human body worked on by Tachiani Borgacci, placed in a necklace almost as embraced into the neck of the model. Another important point are the hearts created by Alessandro Michele in the multi-area collection, emphasizing 100 years of Maison Ducci. And Grace Ling will work with these small objects. They're very delicate bags, which she works with elements of the human body and different parts of the body, emphasizing this perception and this way of looking at things that's so interesting in terms of the human body. And here, once again, for costume jewelry, Schiaparelli is a reference for the golden, which is so important in our color chart, and the effect of eyes in earrings and all the movements where we're able to fit in some parts of the human body. So I will now present to you the color chart chosen to be the color chart for 2023 underline 1. We have here exactly 10 colors. These colors will be presented shortly hereafter in the afternoon in the leather preview, which is a project coordinated by Ney Carminacci, along with CICB, bringing all the tanneries to do this anticipated launch of the color chart and the possibilities for shine and differentiation within the collection. So you here have 10 colors. You can use the QR code to download this color chart, and especially if you work with materials and you work with companies that have products and that are advanced and that are already thinking about the collection for the end of 2022, you can already start using this color chart for your collection and take that to these companies that are working in an advanced manner. So I'd like to thank you for your participation, and I'll see you later on in the leather preview, where I'll meet with Ney Carminacci, Daniele Milesi, and Ramon Soares to share with you all that they've prepared through this research that the Research Nucleus just finished. Thank you very much, and see you soon.